My name is Nadine Firian. I'm a research fellow and lecturer at the Department of Media Studies, Stockholm University, and I have the pleasure to be in conversation with the director of Costa Brava, Lebanon, Mounia, and also with Nadine Labaki, who plays Suraya in Costa Brava, Lebanon. Warmly welcome to Stockholm virtually.
Thank you. We're happy to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you for making this film and for being part of such a great cast, and of course for being here. Let me start with some aspect, like with the end of the film, actually. So Mounia, you end the film with the focus on the character Reem's face while the car and nature in the background is moving. And this in turn is a reflection of the beginning of the film when the statue of the president moves in quite in a similar manner. Could you say something about this interplay and parallel between the film's last scene and one of the first scenes of the film?
Of course, I think the same way the statue is leaving Beirut in the beginning to go invade the mountains, I think Reem is heading towards Beirut to try to figure out what this city will mean to her. But on an emotional level, Reem is going to meet Suraya. She's going to her mother. She wants her family to be together, and she wants to listen to the voice of her mother, and that's which is also playing in the car. The voice of Suraya is playing as an echo because Suraya's heart is going to Beirut, and Reem doesn't want to. She would like to define her own relationship to the city independently from the trauma she may or may have not inherited from her father. And I think I wanted to end on Reem's face and Reem's decision to join her mother and Reem's victory in convincing her father, because it's about this generation's moment of confusion as well.
Thanks. Garbage and the garbage crisis plays a significant and ubiquitous role in the film. And Mounia, you've also made a short film before, Submarine, that addresses this topic as well. So both my question is why the focus on our garbage, and also that beautiful scene when the garbage rises to the sky like lanterns. It was so magical. What was the thought and inspiration in that scene, and also the question on garbage in general?
In 2015, when a lot of people from my generation and Nadine's generation took it to the street, it was because of the garbage crisis. It was an environmental disaster, but like everything in the country, it's completely tied to a system that's corrupt and that doesn't work and that is vampirizing its people. And so the garbage crisis in itself represented a bigger problem. And so when I started writing my short film Submarine, it came out of this frustration and out of this anger of seeing my favorite landscapes in my city, the places where all our memories are, be completely invaded by rot and by laziness and by corruption. And the protest became about the political class that was responsible for that amidst other things. Today, of course, the garbage crisis is just like 1% of the problems of what Lebanese people are going through. And if I had written the film today, maybe the family wouldn't even have been able to create a little paradise, because sadness has become really internal to people's intimate spaces as well. And so the garbage crisis for me represented a lot of the things I wanted to talk about, but it was a real crisis. And when I wrote the film, it was set in a dystopian future. Now the film feels like a period film from 2018 almost, because the dystopia, I imagine, is tamer than the reality of Lebanese people today. The flying garbage. The flying garbage was a scene that is one of those scenes that just came to me. I didn't really sit and write it. I was trying to imagine a moment in which this romantic, idealistic, beautiful man, Walid, which like lives on fear, and that's why he tries to control everything around him. A moment where he just like pictured the place he loves the most just returning to a state that might never be.
Yeah, no, it was a very beautiful and surprising scene. It worked really well. The acting and casting in the film was excellent, and I will return to casting later. Nadine, after making such a beautiful and successful film as a Capernaum, which also won the best script at the Stockholm Film Festival a few years ago, actually, how was it to act in a film directed by someone else? And I know you acted in many films directed by other people before, and I think one in between as well. But what attracted you to play this part and agreeing to be part of this film and this journey?
First of all, what attracted me the most in the beginning was Mounia's vision. Actually, when we first sat down and she started explaining to me what this film is going to be about and her vision, I saw the passion that she had. I understood how much she knows, the story that she's going to tell and why she's telling it, which is something that I really look for, when I'm myself making a scene or shooting a scene or shooting a film. I know why and why I'm doing this. So it was very clear to me that Mounia knew very well her story and her characters. So this was a very encouraging thing for me. And second, I also at that time was exploring myself with my family, this sort of alternative way of living, because I believe that we need to be closer to nature. And I think that humanity is starting to realize that, and more people are trying to explore that new way of living closer to nature and living to the rhythm of nature and understanding the wisdom of nature. And also because of what we have been living through in Lebanon, also I felt very compelled to this character who is going through this contradiction in her emotions. Should she, stay in the middle of this chaos and be part of the change in a way, or should she, for the sake of her family and for the sake of her sanity maybe and the sanity of all her family, take the decision to withdraw and live in a place that is isolated from all this chaos and be also closer, to nature. So I think it's a question that every human being is going through right now. What is the solution? And I felt really very close to this character. That's why I felt I knew her. I knew Soraya in a way, because I was also living a bit the same contradiction. Do I stay in Beirut, in the city, and be in this chaos, but also part of the change that we need to make, or do I isolate myself and also protect my family? So it's a contradiction that I'm still going through. Also as a filmmaker, after the explosion that happened in Beirut, I was also as a filmmaker going through this contradiction. Do I go to the city and film and capture what was happening, or do I keep my sanity also again and stay away? So it was I really feel very close to Soraya. So these are the reasons why I felt I was very interested in being her.
We're, however, glad that you, unlike Soraya, who gave up her musical career, that you didn't give up your film career.
Yeah.
So in the film, Soraya is a musical, is a singer. But I did note that the song Beirut Hobby, sorry for the mispronunciation, based on a poem by Hala Alyan, was sang by you, Nadine Labaki. Is that something that you regularly do, or was this your debut as a singer?
Not at all. Not at all. I was actually very embarrassed doing this, and Mounia can tell you a little bit about this. This is my first time. I was excited to work a little bit on my voice and learn the guitar, even though you know you don't see me really play, but I tried to learn a bit of guitar, and I tried to work on my voice. It was a very interesting for me, I don't know, adventure journey, you know, trying to use my voice in a different way, because I've never done it before, and I've always felt embarrassed doing it. But at the same time, I've always felt you know, fascinated by people who sing and people who have a nice voice. I've always felt it as a, you know, as a blessed gift to the people that do have this, you know, this talent. So I tried. I did the best I could. I don't know if you know, I'm not absolutely satisfied by it, but I mean, it pushed me in a direction that I'm not comfortable in, which is something I like. I like exploring these, you know, different sides of my personality. So that was a good occasion for me to do it. But no, it was, I sang a little bit in Where Do We Go Now, in one of the songs, but not as much as in Mounia's film.
The moments where technically, like the moments where Nadine just forgot about the technicalities and the fact that she doesn't think she's a good singer, were the moments where it sounded the most powerful, because she just focused on what the song meant to her as Nadine, to her as Suraya. And these are the moments I kept, where she just spoke and meant those words. And she worked with Zid Hamdan on the song, and Zid was what Zid did is that he listened to Nadine's voice, asked her to sing a few songs to him, and found the right area or timbre where she was most comfortable. So we would have an exchange back and forth, and I think it was really nice to see Nadine try something new and go out of her comfort zone, and it's like something I'm grateful for.
Yeah, I mean, Zaid and Mounia and Nathan were very, very supportive and comforting in that sense.
Yes.
Yeah, as opposed to my husband, who's a music composer, but who thinks that my voice is very, you know, lousy, and that doesn't encourage me at all.
Yeah, when me and Nathan Larson, the composer, went to Nadine, she kicked her husband out of the room. Like, I don't want you to listen. But Nathan was really like very, very generous. And it's actually Olivier Garpion, our producer, who connected me to him.
Mm. And I'm sure, Nadine, that your husband is reassessing your musical abilities by now.
I don't know. we didn't. He hasn't seen the film yet, actually. So okay. I don't know what the reaction is going to be.
Mounia, could you say a few words, like, because here in the film you're working both with established actors such as Nadine and Saleh Bakri, but also with people who haven't been in a film before. Like, to my understanding, the grandmother has never acted before, and of course the twins that played Reem played excellent. Could you say something both about how it is to work with children, how it is to work with balance this established actor versus new actor? Like, how is it to cast and direct this whole process?
Yes, I mean, of course, for you and for a lot of people, Nadine or Saleh are established actors that you've seen like all over the world. For me, working with Nadine was working with my neighbor and my friend, and a woman who was as real as those kids who have never been in a film before. And that was great, because the fact that Nadine is a director who works in a certain way and likes to work with a certain energy, that created something that was very helpful for me on set. Because you have an actress who sometimes acts, but who's a director. So she completely understands what a director is going through. And so the way she communicates with me is my language. And the way she communicates with other actors are in a way that can help them as well. When we have a scene with a non-actress, like the twins playing Reem, and then they make a mistake, Nadine welcomes this mistake, and within the scene, like, and that's actually one of my favorite scenes in the movie, the scene in which the kid says alcohol, whiskey, chlor, and it's a mistake that what happened is that Nadine, as Suraya, made it seem that it was her daughter's mistake and corrected her, and that's one of my favorite moments in the film, and not just me. And I think that's what's helpful about working with someone who really understands the industry, is that there's like this game that's happening off and behind camera that's very helpful for me. Now, about the kids, the twins who play Remo have never acted before, there's other advantages to working with someone who doesn't know anything, is that the rawness and the freedom that those girls had. Like, for example, they completely fell in love with Saleh. So when he acted and when they acted scenes with him, they were generally reacting and listening to him. They have so much empathy and they have so little filters that I was just gathering real moments from them and stealing them and incorporating them in the film. And they developed love for Nadine, for Saleh, for Nadia, and for Liliane that was authentic. And so their behavior was just me capturing what they could offer. And the grandmother who has never acted before, of course, it was terrifying for her because she was surrounded by people who had done this for a longer time, but she was well supported by the rest of the cast and by the crew, and so we were here to play.
And did it in an excellent way. Circa, like towards the end of the film, I think it's around 79, 80 minutes into the film, Soraya tells Walid, "You should decide whether you love or hate Lebanon." And to me, like that also felt like such a key phrase in the film, and maybe a relationship, like a love-hate relationship that many people have towards a country. So my question is, like, how has the film been received in Lebanon, if it has been shown there, and also how this love-hate relationship towards a country is manifested in the film?
We didn't screen in Lebanon yet, but through the festival tour, a lot of Lebanese people have been coming to the screenings, whether it's Lebanese people who are expats or others that were part of a tour, and they have been such an important part of the festival tour for me, because they received the film with such an open heart, such a broken heart. And when I met, for example, like recently I was in London, and a lot of people in the room were Lebanese expats, and their questions and their reactions after the film almost made me realize things about why I made this film that I was maybe not aware of while making it. You know, like they raised questions, and they like appropriated the film in a way that they gave it new meanings and allowed me to understand a lot. And I think that whether we love or hate the country, now Lebanese people are held hostage. They don't even have a choice whether to love it or hate it. But I think that one line that everyone in London kept mentioning to me was this line that you're talking about, and the other one, like, yeah, like go with Alia to Colombia and then tell us on social media how much like you miss Lebanon. And a lot of people in London felt like this line kind of triggered them, made them feel yeah, I think that like our love for our country and the hope that it will change and grow is the reason why we all made this film, nothing else. And I think we all feel a little bit broken because the last few years, especially the last couple of years, have been extremely difficult, but we will never stop hoping and fighting for change. And right now it comes in the form of the upcoming elections.
Yeah, thanks. And one last question, since I think we're already gone over time. So the process of making and financing films is seemingly a very difficult one. Like in the end of the film and beginning of the film, we see like a long list of collaborators, producers, supporters from all over, including Swedish connections, such as the Swedish Film Institute, Malmö Arab Film Festival, Film i Skåne. And Mounia, this is your first feature-length film. Like, how has it been different in the process of making shorts and TV series, and also like all these different aspects you have to juggle, and then also baked in like a question to both of you, if you have any, like in the audience we have many young filmmakers, if you have any advice to young filmmakers and considerations they could or should have.
Okay, I'll answer quickly about the co-production. It comes with a lot of great advantages, working with incredible people all over the world, but also because of the structure of the co-production and the amount of cooks in the kitchen, sometimes it's overwhelming, because sometimes you want to run away, hide in your mountain and just make your film alone. And you have like, you know, so the positive thing is that it introduced me to incredible people. For example, the team that made the visual effects that I was extremely proud of, or the music composer and all of that. But sometimes it gets really overwhelming, especially during a pandemic, because you want focus and calm, and there's just too many countries and too many people. So, but I think it's the price to pay sometimes for a first feature, but you learn what you like and don't like about this process to avoid repeating it for your second feature. And you know, and I let Nadine also respond, because she also did it first time and then chose different ways.
I mean, it's always in Lebanon, where there's no film industry, unfortunately, you always have to rely on foreign producers or co-producers to come on board and in a way help us out and guide us through the whole process, because there is no film industry here. There is no institutions that, so sometimes we are lost. We want to make films, we want to dream and want to achieve that dream, but at the same time we don't know where to start and how to start. So it's always important, you know, this helping hand in a way in the beginning is very important, because we need this guidance and we need this support. Unfortunately, we don't always find it here. But I understand also when Mounia says sometimes it is overwhelming. It's overwhelming for me anyway, when you're not, the creative process is less, of course, free when you have many people on board. So it's normal. But like Mounia said, yes, it is a price to pay. And especially in the beginning, it's impossible to make films on our own. In a place where there was, at some point, there was nothing, there was no cinema at all. So we don't have a history of making films here. The film industry is very new and still very shy. So we still have a long way to completely be independent. With my last film, I decided to be completely independent, because I knew that it was going to be a very difficult, endeavor for producers to understand that I need, 6 months of shooting and then two years of editing, and I was going to be working with non-professional actors most of the time, and I'm going to be needing a lot of time with my actors because they're non-professional actors and all of that. So I decided to do it on my own, but there was a huge price to pay. It was really, really risky. And my husband produced it, but we were in really deep trouble for a long, long time. So it's, it's important. It depends on the film that you're trying to do, you know. Each film has its own journey, its own needs, and its own ways of fabrication. So yeah, I don't know if I answered.
Yes,
your question.
definitely did. And I have so many more questions on the cinematography of the film, on the film score, and what you're doing next, and how this is going in the festival circuit. But unfortunately, we have to say goodbye now and conclude this conversation. Thank you so much, Nadine,
so
Labaki,
much.
and Mounia Al, and wishing you all the best with this film.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Bye.